More than 70% of all Porsches ever built are still on the road today, which is way better than Ferrari or Mercedes can manage. This happens because Porsche overbuilds everything, supports their cars with parts forever, and owners actually drive them hard instead of babying them. Many of these cars will literally outlive you and be worth more when your kids sell them than what you paid. We're counting down 8 Porsches that prove this point with rock-solid engineering and values that keep going up. Coming in at number 8, the Cayman GT4 from 2015 to 2016. This mid-engine beast from Porsche's GT department is losing value slower than inflation, which is pretty wild for a car that's not even 10 years old. In the UK, GT4s with 5-figure mileage are listing around £56,000 to £60,000, virtually unchanged since 2021. Meanwhile, US examples with under 10,000 miles are flirting with $120,000, which is actually above the original sticker price. Auto Express ranks the 718 Cayman as the least depreciating sports car in Europe, holding about 70% of its value after 3 years. This reinforces the GT4's price floor, especially once electric replacements start arriving from the factory. The GT4 uses a naturally aspirated flat 6 borrowed from the 911 Carrera S, but they tuned it specifically for the mid-engine setup. It makes 385 horsepower and screams to 7,800 RPM with a sound that'll make you forget turbochargers exist. The 6-speed manual is the only transmission option, which is exactly what people want. Maintenance is pretty straightforward if you follow the rules. Swap the clutch every 40,000 hard miles, watch the coolant expansion tank for leaks, and your flat 6 will still be ready for track days when synthetic fuels make gas engines cool again. The suspension has adjustable dampers for street or track use, and the brakes can handle serious track abuse without fading. What makes the GT4 special is its purity. The steering is hydraulic, not electric. The throttle response is instant because there's no turbo lag. It's pure driving with no electronic interference beyond the basics, something that's getting harder to find. At number 7, we have the 918 Spyder from 2013 to 2015. Hybrid tech usually gets outdated fast, except when Porsche builds it. Visa package Spyders just hit a new auction record at $3.9 million, while even cars with 2,000 miles are bringing $2.6 million. These aren't garage queens either. People are actually driving them. The 918 mixes a naturally aspirated 4.6-liter V8 that revs to 9,000 RPM with 2 electric motors for 887 total horsepower. The V8 comes from Porsche's RS Spyder race car and sounds absolutely wild when you wind it out. The electric motors give instant torque and let you cruise silently around town. Battery modules are actively supported by Porsche, and early replacement procedures proved that the factory could swap a complete battery pack in one business day. Owners report running costs that are close to Tesla levels, but with far greater prestige and exclusivity. The 918 is essentially a carbon credit investment that also happens to roar to 9,000 RPM in hot lap mode. The carbon fiber monocoque construction means the car weighs just 3,715 pounds despite all the hybrid complexity. The aerodynamics are active with a rear wing that deploys automatically at speed and underbody panels that optimize downforce and cooling. The suspension uses pushrod activated dampers front and rear, just like a Formula One car. What's remarkable about the 918 is how well integrated the hybrid system is. The electric motors fill in the torque gaps. eliminate turbo lag that doesn't exist anyway, and provide all-wheel drive traction that makes the car incredibly fast and surprisingly easy to drive quickly. It's the kind of technology integration that took other manufacturers years to figure out. Number 6 brings us to the Carrera GT from 2004 to 2006. This thing is pure analog V10 with no stability control, no driver aids, just you connected directly to the road. The Carrera GT market has stayed rock solid at $1.5 to $2 million, while other supercars bounce around like crazy. That Miami 2025 RM Sotheby's sale at $1.545 million was totally normal for these cars. The 5.7-liter V10 produces 605 horsepower and was originally developed for Porsche's aborted Le Mans prototype program. It's essentially a race engine that's been slightly detuned for street use. The sound is completely intoxicating, especially when you wind it up to the 8,400 RPM redline. The 6-speed manual transmission has a gated shifter that requires real skill to use quickly. Porsche still manufactures clutch kits and carbon ceramic brake rotor replacements, and specialists have figured out the famously tricky brake bleeding procedure for the carbon ceramic brake system. The key maintenance item is keeping the carbon fiber wishbones crack-free, which requires regular inspection but isn't particularly expensive to maintain. The carbon fiber monocoque weighs just 220 pounds and provides incredible structural rigidity. The body panels are also carbon fiber, and the interior uses lightweight materials throughout. The total weight is just 3,042 pounds, which is remarkable for a car with this level of performance and refinement. What makes the Carrera GT special is its uncompromising nature. There's no automatic transmission option, no launch control, no stability management beyond basic ABS. It's a car that demands respect and rewards skill, which is exactly why values continue to climb as modern supercars become increasingly electronic and isolated from the driver. Number 5 covers the 996 and 997 GT3 and GT3 RS from 1999 to 2011. Forget all the scary stories about intermediate shaft bearing problems. GT3s use the bulletproof Mezger race engine, and you'll find documented examples with over 300,000 miles that never needed major engine work. The Mezger engine is basically indestructible because it was designed for endurance racing, where breaking down means game over. As Porsche phases out naturally aspirated manual transmissions from their lineup, early GT3s have doubled in value since 2018. A paint-to-sample 997 RS 4.0 now trades around $600,000, while 996.2 Club Sport examples hover near $160K. These aren't just collector pieces either. They're being tracked regularly and driven hard. The GT3 was Porsche's way of bringing race car technology to the street. The Mezger Flat 6 produces anywhere from 381 horsepower in early 996 GT3s up to 500 horsepower in the final 997 RS 4.0. The engines rev to 8,400 RPM and sound absolutely incredible doing it. The 6-speed manual transmission is borrowed from the 911 Turbo and can handle serious abuse. Service parts are actually cheaper than air-cooled equivalents, and the cars have track day capability that still embarrasses brand new supercars. The suspension uses adjustable coil covers front and rear, massive brakes that can handle repeated track use, and aerodynamics that actually work at high speeds. The GT3 RS variants take everything even further with wider fenders, more aggressive aerodynamics, and weight reduction throughout. Some models like the 997 RS 4.0 came with titanium roll cages, carbon fiber hoods, and magnesium wheels. These are the closest thing to a road-legal race car that Porsche has ever built. What makes GT3s such good investments is their combination of daily usability and track capability. You can drive one to work every day, take it to the track on weekends, and expect it to handle both duties without complaint. They're rolling 401k accounts that happen to provide incredible driving experiences. Number 4 is the 993 Turbo and Carrera S from 1995 to 1998. The last air-cooled 911 has those wide-body looks, but with modern double wishbone rear suspension, making it the perfect daily classic. Turbo prices now start around $350,000 and go past $500,000 for low-mileage cars. That's serious money compared to the $105,000 sticker price when these were new. Owners consistently praise the stone axe reliability of these cars. The oil-cooled flat 6 keeps its cylinder heads properly attached, and the factory galvanizing treatment laughs at road salt and daily driving abuse. Porsche continues to reissue 993-specific body panels and interior components, so a well-maintained turbo could realistically be your grandchild's first car, assuming they inherit your heavy right foot. The 993 Turbo uses a 3.6-liter twin-turbocharged flat 6 that produces 408 horsepower in base form or 430 horsepower in the S model. The all-wheel drive system provides incredible traction and makes the car much more manageable than earlier rear-wheel drive turbos. The 6-speed manual transmission is robust and has a wonderful mechanical feel. What separates the 993 from earlier 911s is the sophisticated suspension design. The rear uses a proper multi-link setup instead of the trailing arm system that earlier cars used. This dramatically improves handling and makes the car much more predictable at the limit. The steering is still hydraulic and provides excellent feedback. The 993 generation also introduced many modern convenience features like standard air conditioning, power steering, and airbags, while maintaining the pure driving experience that makes air-cooled 911s so special. The build quality is exceptional, with tight panel gaps and interior materials that hold up well over time. These cars represent the end of an era for Porsche. The 996 that followed introduced water cooling and a completely different design language. The 993 captures everything that made classic 911s great while adding just enough modern refinement to make them practical for regular use. Number 3 is the 930 Turbo from 1975 to 1989. Born from Group 4 racing ambitions, the original Turbo 911 pairs the indestructible Mezger Flat 6 with tank-like get-rag manual transmissions. High-mileage examples prove the point perfectly. Bill McEachern's 1976 930 recently sailed past 1.2 million kilometers and still serves as his daily commuter car. Auction houses have taken notice of this durability. A Concours Condition 1988 example fetched $280,000 at Amelia Island this year, while driver-grade cars are selling around $140,000. Both prices represent roughly 50% increases versus 2020 values, and the trend shows no signs of slowing down. The 930 uses a 3.0-liter turbocharged flat 6 that was gradually increased to 3.3 liters in later years. Power output ranges from 260 horsepower in early cars up to 330 horsepower in the final models. The single turbocharger creates significant lag below 3,000 RPM, but when it kicks in, the acceleration is explosive and addictive. The 4-speed manual transmission in early cars was upgraded to a 5-speed unit in 1989, but both versions are known for their robust construction and precise shifting. The clutch is heavy and requires some muscle, but it's designed to handle the engine's substantial torque output without slipping. Maintenance requirements are straightforward but critical. The turbo oil lines need regular replacement to prevent catastrophic oil leaks. The CIS fuel injection system requires periodic adjustment to maintain proper air-fuel ratios. Keep up with these items and renew other wear components as needed, and a 930 will outlive all the jokes about turbo lag and Widowmaker handling characteristics. The 930's reputation for challenging handling is somewhat overblown. Yes, it requires respect and proper maintenance, especially in wet conditions, but drivers who understand weight transfer and throttle modulation find these cars incredibly rewarding to drive quickly. The steering is communicative, the brakes are powerful, and the engine note is intoxicating. Number 2 brings us to the 911 Carrera RS 2.7 from 1973. The homologation special that launched 1,000 ducktail spoilers remains the poster child for appreciation that transcends market cycles. Values increased nearly 700% between 2005 and 2015, and have since cruised comfortably in the $700,000 to $1.2 million range. Lightweight examples regularly crest $1 million at recent Paris and Miami auction sales. Mechanically, the 2.7-liter flat 6 is understressed at 210 horsepower, and the mechanical fuel injection system can be rebuilt indefinitely with proper knowledge and parts availability. The biggest threat to these cars isn't mechanical wear, but over-restoration that erases original provenance and character. Document everything and resist the temptation to improve what already works perfectly. The RS 2.7 was built to homologate the 911 for Group 4 racing, which required Porsche to build 500 road-going examples. The car is lighter than a standard Carrera, with thinner gauge steel, aluminum bumpers, and minimal sound deadening. The famous ducktail spoiler isn't just for looks, it actually provides meaningful downforce at high speeds. The engine uses Bosch mechanical fuel injection instead of carburetors, which provides better fuel economy and more consistent power delivery. The suspension is lowered and stiffened compared to standard 911s, and the brakes are upgraded to handle track use. The 5-speed manual transmission has close ratio gearing for better acceleration. What makes the RS 2.7 so special is its purity of purpose. Everything unnecessary has been removed, and everything that remains has been optimized for performance. The driving experience is raw and immediate in a way that modern cars simply cannot match. There's no power steering, no air conditioning, no sound system, just you, the engine, and the road. The RS established the template for every subsequent GT and RS model that Porsche has built. It proved that there was a market for lightweight, track-focused versions of their sports cars, and it created a legacy that continues today, with cars like the GT3 RS and GT2 RS. And taking the number 1 spot, the Porsche 356 Speedster from 1954 to 1958. Simple pushrod engines, bathtub aerodynamics, and featherweight construction mean the 356 feels lively at modern traffic speeds while remaining mechanically simple enough for any competent mechanic to service. Restored examples regularly cross the $500,000 mark, with one 1957 Super Speedster selling for $500,000 this past January. With numbers matching cars becoming increasingly rare, expect well-documented speedsters to track inflation plus a healthy premium for originality and provenance. Keep the body rust-free, adjust the valves every 3,000 miles, and these cars will happily circle the globe on 60 horsepower worth of pure charisma. The Speedster was Porsche's entry-level sports car, designed to compete with British roadsters in the American market. The removable windscreen and minimal soft top created an open-air driving experience that was pure and unfiltered. The body is aluminum over a steel frame, which keeps weight down but requires careful attention to prevent corrosion. The air-cooled flat-4 engine displaces just 1.6 liters in most speedsters, but it's incredibly robust and long-lived. The pushrod valve train is simple to adjust and maintain, and the engine's under-stress nature means it can run for hundreds of thousands of miles with basic care. The 4-speed manual transmission has a wonderfully mechanical feel and precise shifting. What makes the Speedster special is its simplicity and honesty. There's nothing between you and the driving experience except a thin steering wheel and a basic instrument cluster. The car weighs less than 2,000 pounds, so even 60 horsepower provides adequate performance. The handling is predictable and progressive, teaching proper driving technique rather than masking mistakes. The Speedster represents the beginning of Porsche's sports car legacy. It established the company's reputation for building cars that prioritize driving enjoyment over pure comfort or convenience. Every Porsche that followed can trace its DNA back to the fundamental principles established by the 356. Still think this is all hype? There's a 1976 911 Turbo with over 800,000 miles that's never had the engine rebuilt, and forums are packed with GT3s hitting 300,000 miles on the original motor. Between the racing history, parts you can actually get, and the fact that these cars work as daily drivers, they'll outlast you and make your kids some serious money. The only thing that wears out in this deal is us.